Hey everybody, Dave here. Hope you're having an awesome day. So, a buddy of mine gave me this for Christmas, and I know for a fact, even though he never told me, he got this for me with the thought in mind that I would do something cool with it, repaint it, rework it. So, I think I might even build a little diorama. So, come on, let's do it.
Okay, let's open this guy up and check him out. It looks like the arms bend, but the legs do not. So I'm just going to double check here. Let's cut this thing out. Got all these silly little rubber bands on there. Come here, get off there. Okay, good. Yeah, the arms move, but the legs don't. So instead of like hacking the legs off and trying to resculpt and do all that, I had a little bit of a different idea. I have this heat gun, and I am going to attempt to heat this up and bend the knee. I'm approaching this very carefully because I don't want it to melt the plastic, but it is working pretty nice. And I'm just kind of taking it slow and steady, and it actually looks pretty good. I'm liking that. I think I might heat it up a little bit more to give it that front leg a little bit more of a drastic bend. So I'm going to do that, and then I want to get this back leg just a tiny bend in it. So again, I'm just going to barely heat that thing up just ever so slightly. Be careful with it. Give it a tiny bend. And man, I'm liking that. That turned out pretty great. So I'm totally testing my luck here. I'm going to try and bend the foot, just the toe part of the foot. So I'm again carefully heating that. I'm just going to press it down, and it actually worked. That's cool. That's going to give me like a little bit of a toe bend as if he's running up the hill. So I'm going to have that in my diorama, I think. So I think the fingers here, I don't love the way the finger was sitting on the trigger. So I'm going to try and cut this with a knife, but it's just not going through. So I thought, let me just grab my snips here. There we go. The finger is nice and loose, but it doesn't move. So I'm heating this thing up, and now that it's heated up, I'll just pull this out, hold that for a little bit, and then that looks pretty great. Now it's like a trigger finger, so I'm liking that. Because the final goal of this is to be more of a figurine statue, I'm going to glue all these joints in place so they don't move around on me. And it leaves these weird holes, so I am going to take some Magic Sculpt here, and this is just a 2-part epoxy, and I'm going to fill in these little areas where the joints of the toy are that don't look as natural as it should. So haste makes waste. I mixed up my Magic Sculpt, and I thought, oh, I didn't actually glue the elbow here, so I went ahead and took that off because I was afraid if I just sculpted over the top of this, even if it hardened, if that arm moved, it would crack that Magic Sculpt. So I went ahead and glued everything in place, the wrists, the elbows. So now everything is glued. The head is not glued. I can actually pose that left and right. So now we'll get some more Magic Sculpt here and start filling this in. I do use a Milliput sometimes as well, but I have the Magic Sculpt, so I was using that. Now I'm just looking at some images online from the video game and looking at the elbow pads and kind of what they look like, and there is this kind of like Kylo Ren mask pattern on the elbow there, so I'm just sculpting that in, and we'll get that done. Doing the same for the hip here, and I am going to sculpt any of the matching lines that I can see on the figurine itself. So here it is sculpted up, not painted yet, but that's looking pretty great. So I took some black paint and a light gray, and I mixed it up, just eyeballed it, and this is great when this happens. I put it on and nailed the color on the first shot. So it doesn't happen all the time, but I was pretty pleased that it worked out for me. And here it is all painted up, and I'm thinking this looks pretty nice. It feels pretty natural, and I didn't have to do a lot of sculpting or anything on the legs because I was able to heat those up and bend it. So, all right, for the diorama, I have this little wood board, and I kind of want to build like a hill, like he's going to be kind of running up there, but I did see these manufacturing marks, so I need to sand those things off, and then a little wet sand, and they look like they were never there. That's awesome. There we go. I like that. Now, I was using this foam core from the Dollar Tree, and I thought this will be great, but after I trimmed it out, I was like, this is way too thin. I have no elevation, so I got rid of that, and I'm going to use this insulation foam instead, and I think that should give me kind of the height. I think I'll double it up or maybe even triple the foam core. So I was using this box knife and this X-Acto blade, but boy, the struggle is real with this. Like, the blade's not long enough, and I was really having a hard time. So I just went to the store and I bought this utility knife, and this made my life so much easier. So I'm going to go ahead and start carving this out. And I worked on this for quite a while, and I'm just not loving it. It's not right. I don't know what it is. I've been looking at it for a while and just can't put my finger on it. Put the figurine on it and trying to get a look for it. And in the morning, my wife comes in, she's like, cool, that looks neat. What'd you make? Poop brownie? I was like, wow. So I started actually trimming this one down, and it, as I trimmed it down, I was like, it looks like brisket. And like 10 minutes later, my wife comes in and goes, oh, sweet, got some brisket. I was like, oh, man. So I'm going to get rid of this square base, and I have a round wooden base. And I think what I'm going to do is, I think it's just too boxy. I think I need to give it a little bit better shape. So I'm going to kind of play around with this and kind of carve this out. So I'm just hacking away at this, and we'll see what we can do. I think this will work. Okay, that's all trimmed out, and I got some lightweight spackle on there. I carved it the best I could, so I'm going to set this aside, let it dry, and let's paint the figure. I'm using this Citadel green, and it's an airbrush paint, so it goes on really nice. I like the undercoating, so this is just going to be a nice little touch. Do a little bit of dry brushing where there's that little blast mark under the 117 mark. And then I'm going to take some silver metallic paint and just start doing some weathering on the edges there. I hit the gray there but in the arm, but it's no big deal. I'll cover that up. But this is really fun because it's such a simple little technique, just taking some dry brush silver, but it transforms it so quickly. So I'm going to continue doing this, and I did it on the back, the front, the helmet, and the end result is pretty cool, but we're missing one magic little touch. So I'm going to get out my Nuln oil, not gnome oil, but Nuln oil, and just brush this whole thing. And then I'm doing a quick highlight dry brush of a brighter green, just to really pop those colors. And this is looking really great. Oh, sweet, we're back to this thing. No, actually, I'm really liking the shape of this a lot better. And what I'm focusing on now is just the texturing of this. I need to just push through the odd shape that it is. And so I'm laying down some Elmer's glue, and then once I've got this Elmer glue down, I'm going to take some just dirt from my front yard, sprinkle this on. That starts giving some texture to this, and gives it a little bit of personality. I'm going to take this light brown here, like a latte, and just dry brush all the edges over the entire thing, and that also really starts to develop some shape and form. So I think we're about ready to put the figure on this thing. What I did was I put a little polystyrene tube in the foot, I drilled a hole on my drill press, and that should hold this guy in place. I'm going to take a little bit of extra glue here, and just in a couple of tiny areas, I'm going to put a little bit of this model greenery in here. So I'll add that in. Now the gun. I'm going to go ahead and paint this silver first, and then I just did a bunch of little black washes on it. I literally just rubbed black paint on it, wiped it down, rubbed black paint on it, wiped it down, kind of till I got it where I liked it. So I think in the end this turned out pretty cool too. Okay, so I'm going to kind of finish this up, and then I'm going to put the whole thing together. I need to get this gun in his hand, get him glued down to the base, and let's wrap this one up.
Okay, so I definitely need to continue working on my diorama game because, man, I struggle with them. I haven't done a lot of them, so I'm going to keep at it. And I think finally through my struggles, I came up with something that looked pretty decent, so I was happy with that. I think the paint job on the figure went so smooth. It was really just satisfying. And at the end, I think putting it all together worked out pretty nice. So let's take some turnaround shots of this. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. And as always, it is a great day to be a toy nerd. Have a great one.